Yo, what's up, ladies and G's? Hey, before you tune into this episode, I wanted to reach out and let you all know that I greatly appreciate the love and support, especially those who've been rocking with me since day one. I want to say thank you for your patience over this past week, as I did not post this past Friday nor Monday due to this exclusive collaboration I wanted to put together for all of you. I wanted to raise the bar, or what we like to call it here on the station, right? Level up when it comes to providing value. So I'm definitely excited to release this new episode. I know we'll definitely make up for this past week. I have a special guest on today's episode. She is a millennial brand strategist and founder and CEO of Boss Babe. She was named top 100 most creative people in business by Fast Company magazine and has been featured in Forbes magazine as well. She speaks and writes about creativity and philosophy and culture across multiple platforms. And today, she's going to be explaining what it takes to go from 0 to 100 real quick as an entrepreneur, and how she went and built one of the leading communities for feminist female entrepreneurs with over 500,000 on Instagram and growing. All I'm going to say is, if you're ready to level up, the time is now. Let's get it.
Are you ready?
Level Up Daily, the hottest podcast for self-growth, with interviews from the hottest celebrities.
Told her to level me up, yeah.
Now, your host, DeAndre Evans.
Told her to level me up, yeah.
It's time to level up.
Now level up.
What's up, ladies and G's? In this episode of Level Up Daily, we're going to be speaking with the original Boss Babe, a millennial leading strategist for brands all over the world. She is a creative, philosopher, and much more. Help me welcome the beautiful and talented Miss Alex Wolf. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, absolutely. I'm glad to hear that. I'm definitely excited again to have you on a podcast today. I just wanted to say thank you for taking time on your day to do so. I greatly appreciate it. I know a lot of our listeners are definitely excited as well. They've been blowing up my IG feed, my Facebook statuses, like, yo, who's on this episode coming up? They're definitely excited, and they're dying to hear from you and see who the special guest was. And I know they're going crazy. So can't wait to kick off this episode with you. And now, personally, just diving into some things. I know that you're not just only, one of the most leading millennial strategists amongst the world right now, but you're also a pioneer when it comes to, branding for millennials out there. And overall, you are the original Boss Babe. Like, I know a lot of people don't know right now. And I keep saying it. They're like, well, who is the boss? Like, they like, what? And some people may know. They'd be like, oh, okay. But eventually they'll catch on. But, you created this movement for a lot of young, feminine and talented women that are, getting it out here and becoming bosses. And, personally just diving into a little bit about me. But as far as growing up around like a whole bunch of females around me who were like hustlers, right? And I know my sisters, Cynthia and Jenny, who two of the hardest workers that I know personally,
Right.
and they are the definition of impeccable in my eyes.
Right.
And just to see, a woman such as yourself hold the same value and at the same time are able to deploy that out into the world, I think that's really cool. And I definitely commend you for all that you do. I definitely wanted to let you know that up front for sure.
Thank
And
you.
absolutely. And I know a lot of our listeners right now are curious to know. They're like, okay, Dre, stop talking. Let's hear, her. Let's see what's going on. So if you don't mind, I would love to, open up the floor to you and have that one-on-one conversation to just let the audience know, like, who are you, get your backstory, how you got started. And if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your upbringing?
Of course. So I'm a millennial, obviously, and I grew up with a lot of computers at home as a young child. So growing up with computers now is normal because they're everywhere. But in the early 90s, it wasn't as common. And so I got on the internet before all my friends. So I've been playing with the computer, like making lights and doing all types of like digital creative stuff since I was a kid. And when I turned about 21, I started a brand on Instagram before Instagram had a lot of brands. Because, Instagram used to just be for like photos of you doing something right in the moment. Like if you were like out somewhere, you would take the picture and you upload it to Instagram.
Right.
So in 2018, I was one of the people who I think of other ways to use Instagram and uploading quotes about being a feminine businesswoman. And there were a lot of motivational accounts, but they were all very masculine. They were just like Lamborghinis and lions and,
Yeah,
all
it's
that
still
good
like
stuff.
that. Yeah.
Still like that.
Right.
And so Boss Babe was something I started, and it was the first time I saw these motivational like quotes, but with that female perspective. And so the account went viral, and it just grew into this brand. And I eventually figured out ways to monetize it and just turn it into this cultural statement that I think has influenced, so much of like what we see in popular culture today.
Yeah.
And after like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half of running it, I was tired of running it and I wanted to do something else. And, also to keep in mind, I was very young when I started it. I didn't know it was going to turn what it turned into. I didn't know it was going to be this big thing. And so I was very overwhelmed, as much as I loved business and as ambitious as I was overwhelmed with, having a business is a lot of responsibility.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I think I want to do something else. And thankfully, I'm so lucky to find a team to run it, and eventually was able to sell it. And now I am just focusing on writing. Just published my first book in April.
Nice.
And a lot of it has to do with that story of how I think my first brand went viral, and understanding how using human nature in a way that's honorable and not against itself. Because so much, I'm sure we'll talk what's happening with social media, is that people are using human nature against themselves instead of using it for. And so my whole methodology in approaching marketing and advertising is, how do you honor people's attention and time so that they feel compelled to be a part of your brand and share your brand. I have sort of this loving relationship with my audience, my readers on social media. I interact every day. I'm very vocal about my opinions, thoughts on technology and culture. And it's I'm very happy I'm here.
Absolutely. That's so awesome. Like Instagram, to me, that's like my home. Like I live there. Instagram is like where everything pops off, and it's just like the place to be, because there's so much going on, especially with the updates and everything recently. It's just crazy.
Right.
So it's the place to be. But I know you touched up on it briefly, and I just wanted to, capitalize on that. But I know you said you started Boss Babe, you went into it as far as the process goes, but what really inspired you to do it? Like, what was the trigger that said, outside of like, people probably reaching out to you, was it something else along those lines, or?
It was the beginning of me to believe in my ability to spot trends. So I saw a trend happening where I was like, wait, there's something different about this generation that's not like the generation before. We're not going to want to sacrifice the way we express ourselves aesthetically in the name of like business or professionalism. And it's not just for feminine women. I think millennials in total have a hard time, like, feeling like the way we present ourselves or express ourselves. So I saw that for women, and especially this was like the Instagram influencer was even starting to seed, like it wasn't even really a thing. And I saw that, like I can see this is going to be a trend. And so I just invested in that trend, and I was really passionate about it. I saw myself as being a part of this trend. So
Nice. So that was the real inspiration. Definitely. That's awesome. Like, I love that, especially, like I said, today's economy, like a lot of women, especially because I have a lot of women listeners, and I know they're probably tuning in like, oh my God, it's thebomb.com right now. We got Alex Wolf on. She's about to spit so much game and knowledge. So I know they're definitely excited. And to hear that backstory, to get that perspective on someone who, grew a big brand and decided to, take a different route in the sense of moving forward. So I definitely respect that. Because, I mean, life's short, right? You got to try everything. You got to taste it all.
Yeah, and, you got to do what's right. You got to do what's right for you.
Absolutely. Definitely. And with that being said, as far as trials and tribulations, I know you say you transitioned into, from running Boss Babe to stepping down, you and your team selling it, and transitioning into becoming a writer and an author. What was any trials and tribulations, like as far as running the company prior to making that decision? Because I know that you had to take a step down, right? Make that transition into it. was there any trials and tribulations? If so, how did you get through it? How did you keep grounded?
Yeah, I think it was definitely, it's just like a mental switch, right? It's
Yeah.
like something was telling me, hey, you started a boss babe. You can't not be a boss. Like this is, you created this. Like
Yeah.
you have to be the boss babe forever now. And so I had to learn, and I would say it took me a good year to really like be able to turn that voice down and be able to say, look, I'm an artist and I created a brand, and the brand is called Boss Babe, and that's not necessarily the essence of my being. It's just something that I was capable to create.
Right.
And I think that was probably the biggest hurdle, is just that is giving myself permission to say, look, that is who you are. You have the right to change. And actually, I feel like any artist and any creative, it's a lesson that you have to end up learning, because I believe that I'm going to create something else, move on from that. I think that's a natural pattern for creative people. And so I just had to, let myself breathe and let myself live.
Absolutely. And I definitely understand that to the fullest, especially when you're going through those trials and tribulations. Like, you got to take a step back sometimes and realize, who you are in a sense, and knowing what you want, and realizing, hey, what's the best play moving forward? Not just for me, but for those who are obviously rock with me, and those who, surround themselves with me and look up to me. So that's big. That's definitely big. And now, because I'm all like over the place, like mentally, I'm thinking of all these questions to ask, right? So like now, as a creative, right? Because I know you're a creative person, a very talented woman who has basically the ability to make everything she touched into gold, right?
Oh,
and,
thank you.
And I noticed that within the last 2 months, me just, paying attention to your profile, seeing how you move, that, like you said, you just released a book, right? Your first book? Perfect. And it's called Resonate, right?
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. So if you could tell us a little bit more about it, like what inspired you to become an author outside of, running Boss Babe, and to write this book that explains, which is the title itself, how anyone can build an audience?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I've always been a writer. And so again, it was just about allowing myself to let that manifest in my work. And the book is, I would say, a collection of both like my personal stories, in addition to my ideology when it comes to how to connect and build an audience in today's time. And it really focuses on the fundamentals of how, it really comes down to, can you have an emotional connection with people through your brand? And this could be a personal brand, this can be a faceless brand, but it really I encourage people to not just go out there and make content for the sake of making content, but to actually have like an intention. And I think because, there's so much loneliness happening in our culture due to, the isolation of just happening through technology, and in general, people want to feel connected to things. And so it's important that when we're out there and we're creating things, that we think about this, that we take that into consideration, because, this in the book, I'm like, we have to stop making stuff for perfect people, perfect organized people. Like so many of these brands like talk to the world as if we all have everything figured out. And I'm like, no one's going to connect to that. You have to talk to people understanding that everyone wants something. Everyone wants a relief. Everyone wants like something that's going to make them feel accepted, instead of like all this energy being put into people and pressuring them to like feel like they should be better or they're not good enough already.
Yeah, definitely. So during that time, you're making that transition, writing a book, becoming an author, were you like receiving a lot of messages and DMs from everybody? Like, how did you go from 0 to 100 real quick, right? Like Drake would say, like basically within the business industry, how did you capitalize on the opportunity? Like, were you getting a lot of messages like that helped create it and shape the book for the book Resonate? Did you get a lot of DMs and messages reaching out to,
people were excited to read it, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah.
People were like, yo, when is it coming out? I can't wait, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, it's coming. So I'm happy that I was able to deliver it.
Got you. Okay, I love it. So when it comes to the book itself, how to build an audience, when it comes to building an audience, whether, it's working in retail, fast food industry, or just having a business on their own, what do you think makes a winning brand versus those that fail?
I really think it comes down to two things, which is one I'm already mentioning, which is the emotional. So some like your favorite, whoever your favorite artist is, you had an emotional connection with them. Right. Either like laughter or tears or something where it's like, that's my favorite artist because X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Right. And so that's definitely a part of a winning brand. It's not going to be the colors you use. It's not going to be your logo. It's not going to be, those things help, but they're not the fundamental part of what makes a winning brand. And then the second part, I would say, more specifically for today's time, is identity. Because we have the internet, like you said, you live on Instagram, right? Instagram is sort of like this virtual reality that we all tap into. It's like a 24/7 party. Everyone's on it right now. Like if we wanted to just like leave this and go on there, everyone's there, right? Exactly. Like, you can always count on that. Yeah. And the thing is that if you go into a party that has 1 billion people on it, you need to do something so that you know where your friends are, so that you know how to be identified, so that if there's someone cute at the party, you want to make sure the right person comes up to you.
Yeah, you got to know your dance moves.
Exactly. And so that's where identity plays a role. And we are using brands, and this is something I don't think most brands don't even understand right now, is that millennials are using brands primarily to decorate our own identity. So in today's time, and brands have been doing this for a while. Like if you look at Converse, if you look at Polaroid, those are brands that understood this, and that's how successful this philosophy. It does stand the test of time. But specifically today, where we're not separated just by our geography, we're all somewhere at the same time digitally. We need symbols and things to help give ourselves identity, so we can say, I'm this kind of person, I listen to this kind of music, I wear these kinds of clothes, I eat this kind of food. All of these things make a statement, because what are we doing when we're on Instagram? That's what we're doing. We're telling the people, hey, these are the brands I associate with. We might not know we're saying that, and we might not mean to say that, but that's really what it all boils down to. So if I'm asking myself, how do I make a winning brand? Again, I'm focusing on how do I make that emotional connection so that people enjoy the brand in the intimacy of their own homes. Like it shouldn't just something that they can flaunt. Exactly. And also something that they can flaunt at the same time, like something that they are proud to be a part of. But if you have that combo, then you're winning.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically just being you, in a sense. You're just not putting on a facade, not faking it, and making that general connection. So, you attract those who like the same interests as you.
It depends if we're talking about personal brand or faceless brand.
So we go personal. If it's personal, to be in that sense, right? As far as making
personal brands. Yeah. Personal brands really is just another way of saying personality. So it's just like, I say this all the time, like Cardi B didn't have colors or logos. She just was she was just herself. Yeah. And that's her brand. Her brand is the feeling that you get when you listen to her or hear her. It's like, it's this raunchiness, and it's funny, and it's just, it feels like you know her as the person. It's her personality. It doesn't matter if she, if for personal brands, it is about showing up as yourself. For faceless brands, it's a little bit different, but
So do you think it's more tricky? Because I know this is a question just popped through. Like, you think it's tricky to brand a personal brand versus a nameless brand or faceless brand? Like, do you think it's more difficult to do it, one versus the other, whether it's on, Instagram or Facebook? Because I know a lot of young entrepreneurs, and I know a lot of them tuning in right now, and they're probably thinking, well, how do I capitalize on my personal and my faceless brand? Like, I have two entities, right? I want to build myself, my basic profile, and I want to build, the faceless profile as far as my brand goes overall. But how can I get them both to the same level? If not, how can I, just grow them both the correct way?
I think they're both tricky. I think it depends on what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you don't have personality, if you don't have charisma, you can't build a personal brand. It's just not going to happen. People don't want me to say that, but I don't care, because it's true.
Exactly.
So it's like the shy chick or the shy dude in the back who listens to Gary Vee and posts motivational quotes, but you have no nerve to put yourself out there. You're never going to grow a personal brand. I'm sorry. It's okay. There's other things to do. that's just a sign that this is not for you anyway. Because personal brand just means personality.
Right.
So it's like, if there's no, and it doesn't make you a bad person, but you have to be comfortable putting yourself out there. That's like rule number one. There's a lot of people who are not comfortable with that, not only in physical reality, but definitely virtual reality. So there's no magical person who's going to come in and make that personal brand for you. With a faceless brand, it's tricky in the sense that you have to create, like with Boss Babe, which I consider to be a faceless brand, even though, like, you know, I put myself in, or like certain team members put themselves in, it's still like this brand had a voice, and this brand represented an idea and a philosophy, and that had to be, you know, spoken to, like that had to be the voice that was speaking to our. So it really just depends on what your strengths and weaknesses are, and not being afraid to own up to it, you know?
Absolutely. Okay. Got you. Because I know a lot of followers that I have, a lot of listeners are either, you know, getting ready to embark on the adventure, becoming an entrepreneur, or they're in the beginning stages of being an entrepreneur. So I know that question probably solidified a lot for them personally. So I greatly appreciate that. And, you know, it comes to, you know, a certain perspective too, like on the opposite end, you know, what makes a winning brand. Then again, what do you think as far as people going into entrepreneurship? Why do you think people fail into the field? Like, why do you think people fail in entrepreneurship? And do you believe there are many factors or, you know, certain roles that come into play?
I think a lot of people fail entrepreneurship, firstly, because they're not supposed to be entrepreneurs. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because I'm telling you, like, after being in this field for, I would say, like 5-6 years now, there's just a personality difference who has the capacity and delegation skills to run a company, and someone who doesn't. And they're both equally valuable people. No point in trying to be something that you're not, right?
Right. So
I think that's the first reason why people fail. And I think the second reason why people fail is extremely difficult. To be a CEO, literally, that's a sugar-coated way of saying your entire job is to make hard decisions. That's all you do. It's not to be on the cover of Forbes magazine. It's to make hard decisions from the time you wake up from the time you go to sleep. So it's really easy to fail when your daily schedule is making hard decisions all day. It's like, how do I spend this much money? Who do I fire?
Right.
You know, what risk that sounds horrible should I take today? That's what being an entrepreneur is. And like I said, there are personalities who love it, who, like, you know, that's their thing. And I'm so grateful. Lord have mercy. I'm so grateful that there are people like that in the world. But that's something I'm saying all of this because after a year and a half of running Boss Babe, I was like, wait, I'm not like this. You know, I'm not like this. So I need to find someone like this. And I focus on my strength, which is coming up with ideas and, you know, writing and putting my ideas out there. So, yeah.
Gosh, because everyone, you know, like you said, is not at that title of being a CEO. Like, even though a lot of people want to own their own, like if you talk to or interview 1,000 people, like, hey, do you want to have your own or work for someone? They're going to say, I want my own. But they don't know, like, the back end.
It's sexy.
Right, it sounds good.
Not, like, if you meet someone and, like, I got my own company, like, of course you'd be like, ooh, like, all right.
Like what you do,
it ends there. It ends there because Lord knows, like, if you're really with a business person, it's not that sexy when you're actually with them because they're stressed out.
Hey, it is a lot of, you know, ups and downs. Like me and you probably made that connection because it is a lot of ups and downs. But at the same, it's fun. It's fun though, like you say. But it depends on that person, right? And
it's fun, but like you got to understand, you're saying it's fun because it's like you're probably the type of person who, like, there's people who say, you know, roller coasters are fun. Let's just like, or skydiving is fun.
Yeah.
Let's just go sky. And then there's some people like, hell no.
Exactly.
You know so I'm saying it's a preference. It's a preference.
Right. So everyone is not really entitled to that number one spot, even though they want it. But then again, they might be the best 2 or 3, right? Instead of the CEO, they might be the COO.
CEOs need help. They need people. There's other sexy things to do. There's other things to do. You could be CMO, you could be CTO, you could be CFO. Like, there are other things to do. And yeah.
I feel like a lot of people need to get that, you know, that concept. Like, you don't have to be number one or at the top to make just as much? Because I feel like a lot of people think, as a CEO, like, yo, you make the most. Not really. I mean, you can still make just as much as, the next person, like number two or three.
First of all, if you're going in entrepreneurship to make money, then just get out now. Just get out now.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? How the saying goes, something like, if you wouldn't be doing what you're doing for free, then just don't do it. Because you're just going to lose passion for it. Entrepreneurship runs on passion. And that's the thing. Because that's what I'm trying to say, where it's like, not everyone has that gusto.
Right.
You have to have enough passion, because the only way you can even endure those ups is if it's bigger than money for you.
It is
It
true.
can't just be money.
Right. Got to be bigger than you. Got to be bigger than you. Definitely. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I hope everybody who's listening right now, because I know they're listening live and they probably,
I'm just over here breaking dreams and shit.
They're like,
what I do.
I wasn't expecting this podcast right now. Like, what is going on, right? But no, like, I'm glad that we're doing this, because I want people to understand, like, there's different, perspectives and different scenarios that make sense when you're trying to take these ventures and trying to step out and do your own things. But, for those who are tuning in, because I'm really doing this for those who, like I said, want to take that trip down entrepreneurship and want to be in it, or just starting off, because a lot of them have been requesting, episodes like this, or getting someone on just to talk about it. But, what can someone do right now who is either getting ready to launch their first business, or who just launched last month, to help them avoid like any turmoil, any potential roadblocks in the beginning, to help them get off to a good start? Like, what would you recommend your first step as an entrepreneur to do?
I think the biggest question is just why. Why are you doing this?
Right.
Because there's no point of putting all this energy in something if the why is messed up. If it's just to be loved because nobody loved you, like, it's like, so much of entrepreneurship is so much like mommy and daddy issues that we just haven't dealt with. Like, it's like, and I'm not calling anybody out. I think I'm putting myself in there, where it's like, I say this in my book, where the whole reason why I got into social media and all this is because the attention you can get. You work hard enough, you get all this attention. And so that was really appealing to me as a 19, 20, 21-year-old. I was like, wait, I can be like famous for like showing up, and, I can be admired. Like, this is great. I would love that. This is what, in our culture, attention is royalty. And as long as you're not getting into it for that, and I think there are a lot of people who are trying to build quote unquote personal brands that are trying to get into it for that. There has to be a bigger incentive. It's okay to want to put yourself out there. Absolutely. I think it's okay to want to request attention if there's this intention behind it. But yeah, that's my advice.
Got you. So guys, basically, making sure you know your why and what your values are and your principles, and understanding what it's going to take to get from point A to point B. And with that, you have to know your limits, and if you can push yourself to accomplish more.
I would also, here's a good one. Test for demand.
Okay. Trial and error.
Don't make a product that no one wants. There's two ways to make products. Well, and this is assuming the person's even making a product, but if you know how they say, like, one of Steve Jobs' famous quote is like, "Oh, the people don't know what they want. You have to give them what they want." A lot of people say that for products that nobody wants, because like somebody will be like, "Man, well, Steve Jobs said if nobody, you got to make people want it, blah blah blah." And I'm like, wait, hold up. Steve Jobs was innovating. He was innovating, which means he was creating something that no one's ever seen before.
Right.
That's different than doing something that's already been done and then being like, well, I know what the people want, and they just, I'm like Steve Jobs. No. Unless you're innovating, you have to have demand. You want to see that people want the thing that you're making. Because a lot of people are so quick to make businesses and have not tested the market. I want to know that you have a customer before you have a business card. I want to know that you have, you know what I'm saying, a line of people who are interested before you have a website. What's the point of making a business if you don't have any customers?
True. And
I'm tired of that.
Yeah, it's trial and error. And you, like, I see it happen so often. And I think that might be another reason why a lot of people, fail in entrepreneurship, because they don't do, the market research. They don't take time out to conduct it.
do you hear the beginning story, well, I didn't know it was going to be a business. It started off as this thing, and then someone else wanted it because demand was there.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And then they built the house on top of that demand. People are building whole infrastructures for things that have zero demand.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Absolutely.
copying it because it's a, $3 billion market or whatever people say to make themselves feel better. Like
Right.
people, you know what I'm saying? So that's some like good tangible advice for my fellow new business owners.
Perfect. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people are starting to branch out. Like they look up to, women like yourself or people like Gary Vee, and they just like, oh, well, they did it, I can do it, which is perfectly fine. But I feel as though people should, tap into things that they like or love, or they know that they're great at, and take that route versus just listening to Bobby on the corner or, Ricky down the street saying, hey, do this
Right.
instead because the money's coming over here,
And so for personal brands, I will say that there is no demand for another Gary Vee. There's no demand because guess what? He's here.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about the personal brand is that it can't be duplicated. So now, is there demand for acceptance? Is there demand for human connection? Hell yeah. So if you show up on the platform and you're your genuine self, the way Gary Vee is or how these other people are, people will connect because there's such a demand for that validation that people want. But you can't do it through someone else's personal brand vertical.
Right. You can't fake it. You can't put a facade on and try to like imitate. It's not going to work for you. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Maybe short term, but long term, no. And we're in this for long term.
Exactly. True entrepreneurs are in it for the long term. Entrepreneurs, right? That's what we call them. They'd be in it for the short term.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, because I know you got like a busy work schedule, right? I know it's probably like tremendous amount of workload on you per day, responsibilities increased, right? Now, how do you balance it all? Because I know a lot of people tuning in probably thinking, okay, she did X, Y, and Z. She went from here to here. How is she able to manage it all? If you do, if not, what's your take on that as far as balance?
I'm the worst. I don't balance anything.
Nothing.
The real answer to that is that real entrepreneurs are very time rich. Because the whole game is learning how to manage your time so you're not trading it for money. That's the whole game. So I don't feel like I have this overload of stuff.
Right.
Balance. I'm very I lack discipline in the sense that like sure, like I wrote a book that takes discipline, stuff like that, but for the most part I thrive with less structure than more. There's some people who really need structure, like they need routines and schedules and stuff. I can't do that. I just can't.
So was you like freestyle throughout the day? I know you have to have some type of order, right? It's something like
I have
8 to
order
9.
in the sense, goals. I have like objectives. Like it'll be like, okay, today I'm going to try to read X amount of chapters of the book. I'm going to try to write this much. It's kind of very like boring, I think, to most people. Like I'm not like out here like, all right, today we're gonna, like I try to go to the park as much as possible. I try to socialize, but it's really, I guess if I were gonna say there is a balance, it's a balance between the consumption and the creation I make. So it's like I want to try to make sure I consume enough good quality information and that I'm creating enough good quality information.
Got you. So when it comes to balance, you're just like, it's a fine line of it to you.
Intuitive. It's intuitive. Like I don't think there's a third party structure that's going to help me figure out my balance. I think for some people, but for me, it'll just be like, all right, what am I feeling for today? Like, what do I know intuitively my mind and body needs today? And
after that, you're good. You're good to go for the whole day, if not the whole week.
When I know the answer, I'm like, all right.
Cool. I got you. So, so balance is that, right? So let me think of it this way. Well, how big are you on sleep? Now that I think about it, because balance, plays a factor health-wise, right? Like, how big are you on sleep? Like, are you the type like team no sleep? Sleep is for suckers, or are you like?
What do you think? What do you think? You think I'm team no sleep?
Or you
Someone
like?
just ask you.
I gotta get my rest, right? Like, let me sleep in.
People text me at like 10 o'clock. And like, where you at? I'm like, I was asleep, bro. Like, I'm asleep. No,
Yeah.
I go to sleep early. I wake up early. I'm an early bird.
What were you ever like that though? Like in the beginning stages or anything? Like you like stay up super late, like 2, 3, 4, wake up at like
If
7,
I'm
8.
up late,
Yeah.
it's because I'm passionate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I'm forcing myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the body is amazing when it's running on passion because you're not hungry and you're not tired.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I try to take advantage of that as much as possible. Like, you ever just like have a whole day just like woo, and you're like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
where did the time go? Because your whole concept of time is just completely warped
Yeah.
when you're passionate about something. Those are magical times. And I guess that's when I'm, quote unquote, team no sleep. But I'm not like fighting sleep.
Yeah.
That's not me. Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody believe, I mean, as an entrepreneur, they be like, oh, yeah, they don't rest. They just grind. I mean, we grind, but
People are different. People are
yeah.
different. I think there are some people who need to, like, who thrive in that type of, like, with that type of lifestyle.
Yeah. To each his own. I'm definitely resting, but every now and then I do have those nights. It's like, okay, let's get it, right? Let's go.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful experience. It's like, I think it's some of the best experiences you can have in life when you're so passionate that like nothing matters but whatever you're focused on.
Perfect. So listeners, those who tuned in, because I actually did an episode probably like 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I was actually talking about like health, right? So you heard it from, Alex second from this podcast platform, stating basically you need to rest, guys, because in order to give your best, you got to rest. You have to do that first, right? Take time off for yourself. Take that, one-on-one session.
Yeah, in my opinion, resting is working, especially like as much as I write and read.
Mm-hmm.
Like you retain so much more of that information when you rest. So for the people who are so focused on being productive, rest is productive. And that, if you look at it in that perspective, absolutely.
Definitely. And it's important. Now my brain's like everywhere. and I know you mentioned, you work with thousands of women basically all over the world, right? Through experiences and social media reach. So let me ask you, during that time when you were, doing your thing out there in the field, what has your community like really taught you when it comes to like women overall, as far as like their careers? Like what have you seen in the field that you see when it comes to women perspectives on, their journey as far as accomplishing what they want?
Women want the same thing everyone wants, which is just to be accepted and to not be bored. I think we fight for this like entrepreneurial status because so much positive attention in it. And I think all of us want to be positively looked up to,
Right.
I think every human being wants that. And I think that's what makes entrepreneurship so attractive. And I think we also want to say that we are responsible for living lives that were stimulating and thrilling and not boring. And I think that's another reason why entrepreneurship seems attractive. So, I really just think it all comes down to wanting to feel accepted in our communities.
And just knowing that. So a lot of women in your community or in the community period, feel as though there's more to this game called life, right? And they want to explore their options, venture out, try new things, new spaces, which is great because I feel as though, everyone who should, take that chance and dive into what they love and go full speed with it, right? Now, with that in mind, because I know there are, some women listening right now tuning in who, want to start a business again or have an idea, create one, but are scared because of what their parents or friends might say or what society might say. What advice would you give them to say, hey, you got this, just believe in yourself and go for it?
I would just say that it's normal. It's normal that people are not going to believe in you. It's normal. Like that is more normal than not. Like no one believed in Jay-Z. No one believed in Oprah. No one believed in anyone you look up to. No one believed in them. No one believed in me. Do people believe in you? Right? Okay. So it's like, maybe 1 or 2 people.
Maybe, if that. Right?
If that, you're lucky.
Exactly.
You're an anomaly. But it's normal that people don't believe in you. It sucks. I know it's hard. You're gonna, if you keep going, they'll, this is the thing too. They have no reason to believe in you. Like this is the other thing that is a hard pill to swallow. But like when I was 19 and I was telling my dad, like, I'm gonna go, start a business. I'm dropping out of college.
Yeah.
He's looking at me like, you're 19. Take your ass to school. There's no reason to believe in, a 19-year-old and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. And I can get that because I've, so much has happened, and I can look back and be like, okay. And it was really coming out of a place of love. It's like, look, I made a person. I want this person to be successful, and she wants to go on Instagram, and God knows, and so much of our parents, they have no idea what the economy looks like right now. They're trying to apply this thing that doesn't work anymore. So, but when you take all that into context, you're like, oh, this is actually a very loving gesture. They're being, rude as hell about it, but it's a loving gesture because they think they know what's best because they're your parents, or they're your friends. They think they know what's best, but at the end of the day, if entrepreneurship teaches you anything, is that you know what's best for yourself. Always.
Intuition.
Always. Yes.
Going with that gut feeling. And that's big. And I hope everyone listening, was able to take something from that, because she's right. It starts and ends with you. And in order to get to the next level, or what we call here on the show, right, level up, you have to, be committed to seeing it through and not listen to those on the sidelines, because you don't want to end up where they are right now, right?
Listen to So Ambitious by Jay-Z.
So Ambitious.
That song got me through, because he talks about how he played his demo for his uncle. Because his uncle was like his rock, his uncle was like, he was just waiting for that validation from his uncle, no one else. So he was like, yo, this is cool. And his uncle was like, you'll never be better than LL Cool J. Can you imagine being Jay-Z? And then your uncle was like, you'll never be that could have been the moment, y'all. That could have been the moment where he was like, you know what? If my uncle said no, then it's a no.
Exactly. And it wouldn't have Beyonce, wouldn't be no Blue Ivy.
Man, listen, it would have been a whole different culture.
Exactly. It would have been shifted. And that even happened with Drake too. I know he had it in the song. He was like, he played a song for a girl. He was like, this is me or whatever. And she's like, oh, it's cool. Put on DMX. Or, you'll never be just as good as Trey Songz. And then it's look what happened, right?
Right.
Top
now
dog.
It's like, oh, cool, who? Trey Songz, who?
He's like, where is Trey Songz? Where is Trey Songz right now? Like, I don't even know. Like, he produced any songs or anything right now, or it's been hidden.
He's trying to call Drake. That's all right.
Exactly. It's crazy. But so with that being said, I mean, it's so many scenarios and different perspectives you can go, especially when situations like that happen. You can either, fold, or you can, go all in. And it really depends on you as a person. And I definitely agree with what you were saying earlier. And now I know I don't have you for long. I've probably been on here for about going on an hour. I know you got stuff to do. But before then, I did want to ask you, what can we expect, from the talented Miss Wolf, for the remainder of this year and the years to come? Like, any new adventures, any projects you're working on, or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm working on a project right now that's going to be highlighting what I'm calling attention for sale. And it's basically about how advertisement business models have deconstructed the collective attention span. So, like, when's the last time you read a book?
Actually, a hard copy or audio?
Yes, a hard copy.
Hard
it's
copy? Okay.
Be honest.
No, for me, because I'm the type, like, I grasp audios quickly. But a hard book, it'll have to probably be like 3 or 4 months ago. Okay.
And was it easy for you to read, or did you find yourself picking up your phone a lot?
I mean, it was a book that I did want to look into, but I did find myself picking up my phone. I can't lie on that. But
don't lie, yeah.
No, I definitely. What was the book? What was the book? Now that I think about it, that's sad. It's been 3 or 4 months. I can't even remember. But it was a book based off, I think it was entrepreneurship or something like that. But I forgot the author too. But anyway, I was picking it up. I definitely want to read. I went to Barnes and Noble, right? Because I was like, I can't find it anywhere else. Go to Barnes and Noble. They got it. Cool. Came back. I was like, since I paid for it, I'm gonna read it. So I try to sit down and read it. And I got
find out.
Like 5-10 pages in, I'm just like, what's going on Instagram?
Yep.
Like, what's this, right?
Was the book bad?
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad book. Okay. It's just that.
So okay, let me stop you there.
All right.
This is what's happening. You want to read the book, but you can't because your brain is too addicted to the stimulation on social media. Not just your brain, my brain, and whoever's listening to this. And so my next project is going to be about how did it get to a point where you and I and all of us are individuals who want to take in good quality information but can't because we've been programmed to be addicted to this visual stimulation. Because I have a problem with that. Yeah. I'm an author, right? Mm-hmm. So like I want to talk to you in little text in a book on a page,
right?
But that can't compete with the scroll of visuals and videos on Instagram. So my next project is going to be really breaking down how I think we got to this point and what I think this means for our culture. Because if we are a generation that can't finish a book, it's going to be an issue. Feel me?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean,
and I applaud you. Again, I want to also point out that I appreciate your honesty, because that's the first step. A lot of people don't want to admit that they will reach for their phone and reading a book.
Right.
And I'm starting this project for being the first person to say, I sleep with my phone. I'm addicted to my phone. I fight with my phone on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Because it's so important that we have that transparency. I don't know why we all acting like it's not a thing, because you go on the street and you see it right there. Everybody is.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my,
Yeah, even parents now. I'm noticing my mom, my grandma, like on a tablet playing casino slot games. I'm like, what is this? They on Facebook liking stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, it's like to each his own, right?
Because it's human nature being exploited on itself. That's what it is.
True. Facts. That's definitely true. And we got so much going on, especially in the economy. Like, it's so much happening so fast. And like I say, I'm accustomed to audio. Like, that's just me personally. And some people like to enjoy and read books. It's just a preference. So,
well, a lot of people like audio because you can multitask.
Yeah, I mean, I can just walk. I can take a shower. I can drive a car. I can be walking around, going to the gym.
Right. Because the idea of sitting down and doing one thing is becoming this out of date concept.
And I'm sure you're gonna talk about that too, huh?
Well, yeah, because I think there's a lot to lose. Got you. I don't think it's all bad, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think so either. I think it'd be very beneficial. Well, I'm definitely excited to hear about that and know when you're gonna drop. We got a release date yet? We got any exclusive info you can drop for us, or we gotta wait like everybody else?
No, I'm definitely in the brainstorming. Like, we're still figuring out the vision for it, but I'm definitely sure that that's gonna be the next focus. So just keep follow me on social media.
Got you. Yeah, we definitely gonna do that for sure. Well, we wish you the best in everything you pursue. I'm sure we'll all be checking out and stalking your Instagram, since we don't read books, right? And we'll be tuning in, seeing what's going on. So I just want to say, thank you so much personally for coming onto the podcast and sharing your story and enlightening us on your perspectives as far as entrepreneurship and, giving advice and principles for those who looking to embark on this journey. I definitely appreciate you for doing that.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And now with that being said, because I know you said definitely stalk your page, right? So what's the best way to stay up to date with you through social media? Is it Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat? Like, what's your handle?
I prefer people sign up for my email list.
Okay.
Which is on my website at alexwolf.co.
Okay.
But if you also want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just alexwolf.
Got you. Perfect. So I'll make sure, guys, that I put that in the description within the episode as well in the title. So if you want to follow her and learn more about, Alex and, make that personal connection, you definitely be able to do so. And also your book, Resonate, where can they buy that at? Where can they get that? If you want to check that out?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You can just put in Resonate Alex Wolf, or it's also the link in my bio on my Instagram.
Perfect. So make sure you check her out, find out what she's got coming up next. She already gave us an exclusive tip on what she's working on now. And again, thank you so much, Alice, for coming on. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to have you on the show again in the near future.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys. And that's a wrap. So until next time, much love, peace, and blessings. I just want to do like a quick little briefing.
Yeah.
Really quick. Yeah, before we dive into this, so you want to be like, oh, okay, how we get started. Please don't worry about any cursing or anything of that nature. My audience is definitely used to it. Just in case something slips out.
Or something?
Every now and then a word slips out. Well, first off, because this is not even a part of the questions, but do you watch Power?
Yeah.
You don't? Okay, all right. Well, that conversation is over. Don't watch Power. So how you feel about the Drake album? I know you got to be a Drake fan. I know you got to rock with Drake.
I haven't listened to the album.
What?
No. I'm the worst. They're going to be playing Drake all summer.
Oh, my goodness. We gotta end the podcast now.
Yeah.
We gotta end it now. So what's your favorite song right now that you got on repeat?
I'm listening to, it's an old song. It's from the 90s. It's called Memory Drift on a Memory Blip.
So what is a fun fact that no one knows about you?
I think not that many people know that I would go to Italy every other year of my childhood.
How would you convince someone to do something they didn't want to do?
I would get them to convince themselves.
You're in an event, right? And it's Oprah and Beyonce. And they ask you to hang with one of them for the day. Who would it be?
Oprah.
Oprah, hands down, huh?
I mean, yeah.
But that's Bey, though. You gonna let Bey go?
I mean, what are me and Beyonce gonna do? Like, dance? Like, I'm sorry, but like...
to push you, not just to Oprah, but everybody else, and, you know, Jay and all his people, too. Or you be like, nah, I'm just stick with Oprah.
Bro, it's Oprah, son. Like, what are you talking about right now? Oprah has been in the game. Wisdom.
Right. That's the game. That's the game.
That's what I want. Yeah. As a black woman, I'm trying to get black woman wisdom.
Black excellence.
Who has more?
Yeah.
Who has more?